there, Exiles. So 3.28 is almost over, and I wanted to go ahead and share a little bit about what I've been messing with on Summon Hiveborn before the new league starts. So, Summon Hiveborn is one of the new exceptional support gems that came out of Mirage, and it summons these hideous little monsters whenever you use a linked offering. They've got terrible base life, terrible defenses, they die super easy, and they're kind of annoying to scale. But if you are a contrarian, meta-averse minion enjoyer like I am, then there's a lot of fun you can have making them work. And they do work. I cleared the Atlas with them after a pretty early swap, got all my Void Stones, killed some Ubers, farmed up a good amount, and it always felt pretty solid the entire time. I haven't seen a ton of discussion about them though, which makes sense since there was just so much cool new stuff in Mirage, and the janky, awful support gem minion is not going to be very high on most people's lists, but just in case there's someone out there who decides to take a crack at it, I figure I can help them with the ground I've covered. So here's my Hiveborn knowledge. Now, I have seen a few other people playing it, and the most common thing that they do is to try and do sort of an auto-bomber variant with the Queen's Hunger. I did try that, and I hated it. The big problem is that there's a cooldown on Summon Hiveborn. It's 5 seconds, and Queen's Hunger also has a 5-second cooldown, so it looks like it should line up really nicely, but they don't have their durations refreshed or their life refreshed, and they are made of paper, so they die really quickly. And even worse than that is that there's actually a little bit of a delay between whenever Queen's Hunger triggers and whenever the Hiveborn triggers. I don't know the exact delay, probably a server tick or something like that. But it means that they gradually come out of alignment the longer that you're in a map. And eventually you'll have your Queen's Hunger trigger going off, but you don't get any Hiveborn, and then you'll run out of them because they'll die, and it just doesn't work very well. It's very uncomfortable. I think that maybe there's some potential with Sabo there. Sabo does get some cooldown reduction, and the doubled triggers should work well with Sabo, because one of the biggest things is just having your max amount summoned. You actually can't run companionship with it because there's just no way to have that many summoned, but Sabo would let you. Whether or not that would be better than what you could just get on Necromancer, probably not. But it is something that's interesting, and especially if you wanted this sort of walking simulator, auto-bomber kind of thing, I think there's some possibility there with Sabo. I'll maybe do it at some point, maybe in standard, maybe if I get bored enough during the league or something. I'm pretty sure that the damage malice from trigger bots should also not apply to them, because even though they come from a spell, they use an attack. That's how falling zombies works, but who knows. The big thing, though, is that this league, during Mirage, I wanted to play the new Reliquarian, and I did. And the new Mataz node was really fun, let me do some weird defenses, it was a great time. So, some of the specifics that I went for aren't going to apply beyond this once this Reliquarian is gone, but a lot of the general stuff will. And the big thing is going for a multi-link weapon. That's a sort of the clear choice. That won't be a surprise, really, but there's a couple of nice bonuses. One for Reliquarian, I got to use a dagger just because of the free Mataz node. That gave them a ton of crit. That was a lot of fun, and then I got to use a Sai. I don't think I've ever equipped one of these things, but it gives a little extra block chance. That's just a fun bonus. The biggest thing, though, is having an excuse to use the double influence weapon for all the excuse you need, and that's because of this Venarius Astrolabe, an amulet I forgot existed, even though it just came out pretty much. Normally, it gives 3 levels to all your elemental support gems, which this is an elemental support gem, but you can actually get it corrupted up to +4 with a volatile orb, and that's just a lot of levels. And the levels are super important because they increase the number that you summon, not your max. And talking about the difficulties with keeping your max number around just because of how much they die and the cooldown and duration. Having more summoned at a time makes it feel so much better. Ideally, you would get things like +2 on your weapon as well, but I didn't have the time this league to really invest that much into it, so I'm using a quote-unquote budget option here, basically. Now, getting all the influences for the amulet is a huge pain, but you can cut down the cost a lot if you just get some decent 5-mod gear and then just slam them with the relative orb for whatever influence you need. That's how I did most of my gear. Most of it wound up just being 5-mod gear, but I hit a couple of decent things, which is nice. The fact that Venarius Astrolabe affects exceptional gems is really cool, but there's not a lot else you can do to scale the levels. I think you could probably get up to 14 or 15 in standard, but for the most part, you're looking at level 11, level 12 maybe, during most leagues. For the links here, I went with a lot of different crit bonuses. You just change those with generic good minion stuff. The most of my clear is actually coming from my Animate Guardian, who's got an Explodey chest, Gravebind, just generic AG good stuff. If you don't have that, or earlier on in the league, I would mostly just run Melee Splash, and then eventually I tried out Annihilation, which also works very well. If you put them together, it's really nice clear, actually. But with this, I can run multi-strike, no splash, no annihilation, and the clear is barely tolerable, but that's good enough for me for the most part. The single target is pretty nice. The bosses die pretty quick, rares aren't an issue. Now, for the support specters, I am running a pretty classic combination. You've got your Perfect Warlord, Forest Warrior, and the Turtle. I do get to run the Goat, the Crab. Everyone loves the Crab, always fun when you get to use it. You could obviously get in a Forest Tiger somewhere, probably replacing either the Turtle or the Warrior, depending on your priorities, but those are expensive. I'm not paying that. Now, it really does feel like kind of a shame that I don't have more time to play this league, that I didn't get to do everything I wanted to, because I think there's a lot of real potential with these guys. And I think that this version of Reliquarian also had a lot of potential that a lot of people just didn't want to bother with. In general, cold damage is really good. There's a lot of support for it. And even, doing an earlier league version of this, it felt nice. It's not a complete meme. I'd really put this somewhere close to like skeleton mages in power level feeling. Mages feel a little better just because of the smoothness of them being ranged, but overall effectiveness, that's sort of the ballpark. It is a build, and I think with a little quality of life, a lower cooldown, longer duration, this would be a really genuine build that you could go for as an off-meta choice. And I feel pretty similarly about Reliquarian. I don't think it should ever really be the big meta choice, but I do really like having the shifting ascendancy. I want to shout out GGG for doing something cool and fun and that I didn't expect that I'm looking forward to. Oh yeah, the tech. There is secret tech. It's not clickbait. I can guarantee you probably have not seen this. So, Hollow Effigy is a must here, just because of the no need for a corpse. You can use corpse walkers, I did for a while, but once I got Hollow Effigy, you can't go back. Now, even though that you don't need a corpse, this is still a corpse skill, and you can see if I just spam it out, I eventually get the offering. It consumes a corpse that just appears. I did not summon that corpse. Now, I think this has to do with how this skill was originally coded, because this is basically the same thing as the Graft. I think it's probably a revamped version of that, and so it needs the corpse, because the old version of the skill would have a specter that you could summon from it if you just sort of spam clicked. I could not get this to summon a specter. Maybe someone with functioning joints that's not, struggling on a controller could do it, but I don't think you can because they explicitly removed that. But there's still a corpse, and that corpse is a naturally spawned corpse, which means that you can use Detonate Dead of Scavenging on it. I bet if Affliction was around, you could shake it down for a couple of Wisdom Scrolls. I don't think that you can do much with this because I don't think the corpses have much life and it's kind of just awkward, but maybe someone out there will do something really cool with it one day. I just thought that this was so out there that I want everyone to know about it because I love this kind of just janky spaghetti code nonsense that you can find in games like Path of Exile. That's pretty much it. Keep yourselves combobulated out there, Exiles.